Zeadership. You might wonder, what hell is this? Well, for now, Zeadership is just a typo. It's it's what you get when you ignore the spelling check. But we all know there's more to it, and let's find out. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Zed. This project is to find my leadership styles, and I found it really useful, like to get to know myself through this pathway. And let's go. So there are some tests I can do on the Toastmaster website, and you can see there are some scores of my leadership styles. However, the scores are kind of close to each other. Um, they don't really tell a difference. I guess one thing we can be sure is that I'm not a bureaucratic or authoritative. These are all very big words. It's kind of confusing, right? So it got me thinking, like, what I'm doing when I'm doing all these leadership tests. I found that I'm actually voting for the kind of leader I want. Because normally I don't have like that many experiences to become a leader. So I'm actually voting for the kind of leader that I want and how I want to be. So I took another test, and this one includes many of the leaders of the world. You see Hitler on the top, authoritarian, the Stalin, Gandhi. After like 100 tests, I find myself here, closer to Gandhi, right? But I'm more liberal than Gandhi and probably more closer to the free market than Gandhi. So basically, in layman's terms, I am a more chill and hippie version of Gandhi. So that's a great summary of my leadership style. Now, Gandhi is a great man. He once said, in a gentle way, we can shake the world. I agree with him on that. We share some beliefs, obviously. While Gandhi showed us the power of nonviolent resistance by starving himself, I did quite the opposite. I ate a lot. And this brings me to the first story that I actually experienced leadership. Convenient noodle soups. Um, when I was in middle school, our school was very like disciplinary. So there's a lot of rules, a lot of disciplines. And we have a mandatory exercise after first two classes in the morning. So we start the first class at around 7:30, and after two classes is around 10. We have mandatory exercise, which is basically running and running. I get very tired and very hungry. But however, we have another cruel rule that is you can't have snacks in the classroom. Well, that is just cruel. I mean, we were teenagers, we were growing. So I was a teenager and I just have this weird revelation that somehow rules don't apply to me that much. And rules are only for occasions when you get caught, right? So one day I just brought a cup of convenient noodles to the classroom and I got some hot water and I cooked it and I began to eat in the classroom. So the scent of it was so good. And I somehow intentionally like eat it with some noises. So, and people just smell the scent and hear the noise and make them even hungrier, I would say. So the next day, this thing happened. Three more classmates brought their convenient noodles to the classroom. And the day after that, well, you can just say our whole building with 16 classes is a giant bowl of convenient noodles. Everyone started to eating it. In the end, the school have to have another specific rule that is not to have convenient noodles in a classroom. And also, they decided to open the cafeteria after the exercise time. So it was kind of a win-win situation, a happy ending. So this is the first time that I actually got to know leadership. And all it took was my kind of naive belief that rules don't apply to me. And I just the scent and the delicious scent of the noodles. Now, to give you a little glimpse of what I went through, this is how we exercise. There is no exaggeration. Although this is not the school I went to, but we adopt the same strategies. So why do we run like this, you might ask? Well, according to our headmaster, this kind of exercise is both a torture for the body and the mind. Because you run so close to each other, exercise so close to each other, you just don't feel comfortable. And because you run so close, you have to be 100% focused. Otherwise, you might trip on others, and this will become a total disaster. And after the noodle incident, I was selected as one of the leaders of the running squad. As you can see, someone who runs on the outside of the squad. So I no longer have to suffer this kind of exercise, ironically, by not following the rules. So the second thing I did was I made our running squad, our class, the worst running squad on the campus. because we just have our distance with each other like 3 inches looser than standard, so we can run at ease and run more safely. There is a traveling award for weekly best running squad. Since I was selected, we never won once for 2 years. So even though we didn't win that much, nobody cares. So it made me realize like what makes someone a good leader. I mean, you can't just measure leadership with things like the weekly running squad award, right? So what is the one thing that makes someone a leader? You guys can share your ideas in the chat if you want. I will check it later. But what really got me thinking, and my opinion on this is the followers. It is the followers that make someone a leader. Now, if we look back at this picture, without the running squad, the so-called followers, I am just a student, a chubby teenager running on the outside, running tracks, right? So it's the followers that make one the leader. And since I know that followers make someone a leader, I found that in history, in books, heroes and leaders reinvent themselves. We don't just follow Lady Gaga. We don't just follow Joanne, right? We follow Lady Gaga. That's her reinvented identity. And in the book Don Quixote, a man from in a village of Spain decided to call himself Don Quixote, and he became a knight. That's the power of reinvent yourself. Now this emoji looks suspiciously like me. That's because this is my invented identity to create content and influence others and show leadership. I have my personal brand, which is called Yuan Pub. I publish articles and covering songs. That's what this is about. And so far, I have written 10 articles. I have covered 2 songs, and these are viewed more than 2,000 times. And my readers or viewers are across like 30 cities around the world. 64.2% of them are ladies, which is something I cannot control. And I have earned 2 Big Mac meal since I published the first article. That's something remarkable, right? So I wrote about things like COVID-19, my trip to the New York, my struggle. I think one misunderstanding about leaders is that you have to be the best, you have to be good, but it's not. Sometimes you just have to say something when everyone else is silent, or when everyone else is saying the same thing, you just have to be the one to say something different, even the opposite. So in conclusion, what is leadership? I guess leadership is only one thing, to have your own belief systems. That's why I changed the L to Z for Z, leadership. You can all have your own leadership, leadership, dataship, whatever suits you. And thank you. That is concludes my speech.
Awesome. Thank you.